Hello, my loves, and welcome to But That's Another Story with me, Dara, and Catherine. So this episode, and I always say this, but I think it's actually one of my favorites. And it's one of my favorites because the subject we talk about is parenting, which is something that I'm very fond of as a practice, if that makes sense. And it's also something that I find there's a lot of room for improvement. So whenever people like Catherine speak up and share their knowledge from an insider perspective, it's incredible. Catherine is what we call in Germany a Mütterpflegerin. So she essentially goes around to families and helps them after they've given birth. So she'll prepare a meal, or she will help you hold the baby while you take a shower, or she'll take the baby for a walk outside, cook your favorite meal. And she really gives you the chance to focus on your child, right? The conversation we had, I think, goes deeper than I, in my wildest dreams, imagined it would go. And some of the things that Catherine spoke about in this episode changed how I view the system. It was really, really refreshing to also hear from her that there are so many ways to get support. And let's just be honest, it's a common theme that keeps coming up in this episode. There is no central stage, no central hub where you can get all this information that you need to understand who you can turn to for help. So if you're currently pregnant and you're in Düsseldorf or even Germany, and you just want to, I suppose, understand the kind of the system a bit more, and you want to understand who you can turn to, this episode is for you. At this stage, again, thank you, Catherine, for all you taught me and the listeners in this episode. And guys, sit back. I know it can be a little bit tough. There'll be certain subjects that do get, we'll say, a bit darker, but bear with. It's an incredible episode. Thank you. So being a Mütterpflegerin, is that always something that you were like kind of interested in, or how did that come about for you?
Well, I never knew what it was like to be a married single mom or to raise children without support, without family living nearby. So this is something I thought of after becoming a mother. Before, and to be honest, I feel incredibly grateful and blessed to have become a mother in Germany, because I think we can say a lot of things, but compared to most countries around the world, Germany is actually okay. You know, if you want to go back to work, you can. If you want to stay at home, you can. I'm not talking about finances, but you have that option to do one or the other. In France, there's no Elternzeit or parental leave the way there is here. So most moms go to work after 2.5 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So breastfeeding isn't a thing, really. People started opening up about normalizing breastfeeding in France a few years ago. It's quite recent. And yeah, you don't really go for breastfeeding in France because it takes about 2 months to get a good, stable lactation. But you have to go back to work after 2.5 months. So people usually just go for formula feeding. So I feel like at least in Germany, you have options. You can do whatever you want. You have the time, you have the space. You have financial support from the state. Not everything's perfect, of course. Might be a struggle to find a kindergarten later on. But when I looked into what it meant to be a mother in Germany, it was pure coincidence. I met my husband during Erasmus in Germany. I finished my studies in France. And by the time I finished my studies, he had a job in Germany. So it was only right that I moved to him, not the other way around. And I got pregnant. And that's when I discovered the world of motherhood. And I realized, oh, I'm entitled to this parental leave here. And I realized there's no such thing in France. And there's all these kinder cafes in Germany. There's no such thing in France. And I thought, wow, it's just one border away, but I'm incredibly blessed to be here. But at the same time, I had no family to support me so I could be with my baby. I could go out with my baby. There are a lot of kid-friendly places, but once I'm at home and my husband's at work, what do? Sleep when the baby sleep. Okay. But if the baby sleep, chances are there are dirty dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
There is laundry to be folded. I might have not showered since 3 days.
Yeah.
And my coffee is getting cold. What do? Do I really sleep when the baby sleeps? Like, you know what I mean?
That coffee situation hits a nerve. I don't think I actually got to drink one warm beverage in the space of probably 3 years, I think. Yeah.
Well, it was different with my second child. I felt it more, the hot coffee, because my first child was born in summer. So it was like iced coffee.
Yes.
You know, you don't really realize. And then in winter, you're like, oh, I really wish that coffee was warm.
Yes, yeah. It does depend on the seasons as well. And I guess, you know what you mentioned, there are places to go. But I think as well at a certain age, like you're not going to be taking your 4-month-old to the Spielplatz. You know what I mean? In the summer. Yeah. So, that is really true. So I suppose you kind of got exposed to, just to kind of reel back in, you were not from Germany. You came here. You fell pregnant and you gave birth to your child here, I suppose, without family or anyone around you. And going through, I suppose, the thing we all go through without support, what did you kind of notice or what stood out to you most?
So I lived in Leipzig at the time, which is not very international compared to Düsseldorf. My husband went back to work after 2 weeks and my parents were over 1,000 kilometers away. And it was during the COVID period, even though it was summer, it was still very, very strict on going places without a mask and so on. So I very quickly, and I felt so prepared. I read so many books. I read 3 books during pregnancy. I didn't want to overload myself with knowledge and get confused. So I read a book about physiological birth, breastfeeding, and a healthy postpartum. So I felt really prepared, but somehow nothing prepared me for how isolated I would feel. I felt so alone, and I felt like no one was saying that they felt alone too. So surely there was something wrong with me. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And I'm a people person, a people pleaser, unfortunately, sometimes. My family came to visit, and it was my sister's first time visiting Germany. I was 3 weeks postpartum, and I thought, oh, well, if they don't go to Prague with me, they'll never go. So I booked us Airbnbs, and we went on a 3-hour ride with our newborn, 3 weeks old, in a place I wasn't familiar with. And I just had to translate all the menus because my family doesn't speak a word of English or let alone Czech.
Yeah.
And we came back home and they left to France. And I thought, oh my God, what happened? What did I do to myself? Why did I do this to myself? Never again. Just because family comes over, and I think you don't owe anyone visitation after having a baby. Just because having family over doesn't mean they should be guests or treated as such. After you've gone through birth, you have 2 things to focus on: your newborn baby, bonding with your newborn baby, and your physical recovery. Everything else has to be ignored completely. And oftentimes I'm asked, why do moms feel guilty about asking for help? So I like to, and I think I often speak about postpartum quite negatively because that's how I experienced it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I like to switch perspectives. And let's say someone got promoted to CEO in a business. Would the new people coming in to fill in their spot would constantly ask them, what do I need to do? What do you need help with? No, they would know their role, and that boss would delegate. You're not a CEO asking for help. No CEO asks for help. That's very belittling.
Yes.
You delegate. And as a new mother, you delegate. You focus on what you're supposed to do. Everything else, delegated. So my first postpartum, we planned to move to Düsseldorf because I just felt so far from my family and I still like to visit them on vacation and weekends. So we moved to Düsseldorf and I created this big WhatsApp group of moms and I realized, wow, I'm actually not alone. Everyone is feeling lonely. Everyone is overwhelmed. We're all stretched thin, touched out. There has to be something. And when my baby's big enough, I want to be there for people. I want to be there for families so the moms don't feel like they're failing because they feel sad or lonely. I don't want them or their marriage to fall apart because they're both exhausted of running the household, that they have no energy left to communicate. Because I felt that. I lived it.
Yeah.
So I want to help others the way I needed to be helped.
Yeah. You know what? Everything you've just said really rings true with me. And I've got to say, I am from Düsseldorf, and I was very blessed and lucky to have my family around. But all these points you mentioned, I feel them too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm someone who's local.
Yeah.
So I can't even begin to imagine what that must feel like for somebody to just be in a very different place and to also maybe with the language barrier, not really be able to reach out even for support in that sense. And I think, and I don't know if you feel the same, but it's almost like having a kid. It's like, oh, well, it's the most normal thing in the world. Just get along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost feel like this support, you have people like, oh, just let me know if you need anything.
Mm-hmm.
And half of the time it's like, well, I don't actually know what I need. Like, you guys are the experienced ones here.
Right.
So I expect you to kind of tell me what I need and help guide me through in a way. And I think it's almost this, oh yeah, best of luck. And yeah, call me, And I find for someone who's a people pleaser or who maybe like kind of hesitates to put themselves on somebody else, it can be really, really hard to even get over that initial hurdle of reaching out,
Absolutely.
So, wow, that's, and the loneliness, how did that kind of come about, or where was the point where you realized, okay, this is it, no more, I need something, I need a support system, I need to find something for myself?
Yeah. So it all started with my very first visit to the playground. My daughter was 6 months. We had just moved to Düsseldorf. And I went to Zoo Park, I remember. And a mom approached me and said, oh, she looks so cute. And we started talking and she quickly told me that there was a WhatsApp group for moms in 2021. So Mommies 2021.
Wow.
And I joined that group and it was all in English. So it felt like I was in a group where people could relate to my homesickness and maybe a similar isolation. And they used to meet, but the places weren't very kid-friendly. My daughter wanted to crawl around. People would keep their shoes on. I just thought, you know what, let me just create another group where it's all about playdate. We don't discuss keto spots. We don't discuss vaccinations. It's just about meeting each other. And, let's go to a cafe that is actually kid-friendly. And if you need a toilet break, I'll be there for your baby. Like, let's just create our own Dorf.
Yes.
In Düsseldorf.
Oh, your own little village in Düsseldorf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
And and a lot of moms have told me, thank you so much for organizing those events and those play dates. What they don't realize is that the very first reason why I've done that was for my own self. I needed to get out. I needed to see other moms. I needed to understand that I wasn't alone living all of that and experiencing all those feelings I was experiencing. And I got to follow some of them on Instagram and we never really became friends, but I could see that they became friends with other moms also met through those playdates. And that was my biggest reward. Seeing moms connect with others and make friendships has healed a lot of my isolation.
Wow. I think postpartum depression and anxiety, they're still subjects that in the Western culture we don't really zone in on. And I think especially this loneliness aspect. How would you say that experience kind of impacted your personal mental health? Or what would you say what were the most obvious ways that somebody who maybe know you would be able to tell, oh, you're really struggling right now?
Mm-hmm. I don't think I show it well enough. I think I internalize a lot. And a couple of weeks ago, I ran into a mom and she's like, I follow you on Instagram and you do all these things. It makes me feel so bad. And I thought, oh my God, what am I showing? And I told her, please come over to my house. Like, you will see, I'm just like you. I'm a mom just like you. The only difference between you and I is that I share about it on Instagram. I'm not better than you. I don't do more or less. It's just that I show it. And I probably put too much on my plate. I say yes to too many projects. I want to support all the moms in Düsseldorf. I have colleagues who only support one mom at a time. I don't want to give that luxury because I know how many moms are struggling. So I try to split my time, go here, go there, but it also means a lot of mental work for me because I have to remember what that mom's allergic to, how that mom washes her clothes, and what that mom's kid's favorite snack is. But I put all of those things on my plate because I need the overstimulation. If I don't get overstimulated, it feels like I'm just a mom.
Yes, okay. Yeah, it's almost this, I should be doing more. I have more time. Yeah. Do you feel that just leads to more stress and anxiety for you in the long run, or do you feel you're able to?
Probably. It probably does. I'm very happy with my life. I've been doing a lot of efforts to get me time. I've learned to set boundaries, to not take over the entire mental load of our household. That's something my husband and I have also been working on, because these are things, unfortunately, that you don't discuss during the birthing preparation courses, although they should. You know, I feel like I can only speak for Germany, but you are so prepared for birth, but nothing prepares you for after. Really nothing.
Yeah.
And although we have the midwife coming over to check on our health, on our medical condition, and they might sometimes assess whether or not a patient is experiencing postpartum depression, it's not enough. And my husband's from Syria. It's a very collectivist culture. So when I visit Syria, it feels like I'm on vacation. My mother-in-law cooks. She is an amazing cook. They have a cleaner who comes a few times a week, and my husband has younger sisters who love to play with my daughters. So it's pure me time. On top of that, Arabic is not my first language, so my husband takes care of all the grocery shopping, interacting with doctors if needed, and like my mental load is extremely low when we visit Syria.
Oh my God, that's a dream.
I love it.
Oh.
Because when we go to France, it's not my husband's language, it's my language. And my mom doesn't necessarily enjoy cooking, and she's taken care of my dad all her life. So when we come, it's also me time for her. She will play with my kids, but I will be the one cooking. They will clean, play with the kids, but I'm still feel like I have to take care of other people.
Yes.
So I particularly enjoy visiting my in-laws for that. That said, I wish that was the norm, because in some collectivist cultures, there's also dynamics where the village is there for the child, not for the mother.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've seen it a few months ago, so I know it exists. And some people might relate to that, but some families are coming to see the baby, to hold the baby, to take care of the baby. And they don't give the new parents, especially the new mom in the first few weeks, that space to understand her new dynamic, her role, to feel confident in her role as a mother. And it can lead to anxiety later on, a feeling of not being able to take care of your child. So there has to be a balance with the village being there for the child, but also for the parents. And sometimes it's hard as children to set boundaries with parents or parents-in-law. That's why, and I think Germany is the only country that offers it, there's Mütterpflege, maternal care. And it's a third party person coming outside of the family, but that still gets to make connections with the families because we are there more than the midwife can. Midwives have only 30 minutes to be with their patients in postpartum. So we're there to really listen, and we don't have, I'm very flexible in how I work. You know, I don't necessarily come every day, but I can come the day that you need me the most. And if I had planned to make lasagna, but I get there and you're crying, then we're going to have time to talk first. And, you know, Germany's the only place that has this service.
I totally agree. I feel like I was thrown in the deep end when I gave birth.
Mm-hmm.
I, in a way, did sit down and I read like what to expect when you're expecting. And, you know, I went through those little books, and I remember giving birth, and all of a sudden I'm lying there and I'm like, I think I peed my pants. I don't know. There's like this kind of wet feeling. And they were like, no, like you're wearing a catheter, because I had a bit of a traumatic birth, and I was like, no, but something doesn't feel right. It's like I can feel there's something, and they were like, no. And they checked. They're like, no, it's just blood. I'm like, blood from what? And they're like, that's normal. Like postpartum, you're gonna have about like up to 6 weeks of just healing. I'm like, really? But I had a cesarean. They're like, no, it makes no difference. And I was like, for the first time, I didn't even know. I had no preparation. I didn't have any pads. I had nothing in place. And I remember looking at my mom and I'm like, why did no one tell me? And they're like, oh, well, we thought you knew. And it's almost like this totally unprepared situation. And the same thing with breastfeeding. I thought, oh, this is going to be a laugh and it's just natural. And to then find out, no, like you actually kind of have to work for it and work with the baby and try. And that's when I, in a way, sat down and I started researching postpartum myself and what it entails. And I discovered that in a lot of countries, it's a community thing. And this is where that saying, it takes a village, comes from.
Yeah.
And when I kind of sat down with my husband, he comes from Africa. So he kind of gave me like an African overview of this community style, and I think especially all over Africa, you see that, I think, in most cultures, that is commonplace. It's this Wochenbett, the time in the bed where you're supposed to really rest and take care of your child, the bond to your child, and healing, And I think that is something that is respected in most cultures, kind of outside of the Western world. But I feel, in a way, in Western Europe, it's almost become a like, calving situation. Oh yeah, you have your baby, now off to work again, and you're fine. And look, other people do it too. Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, unfortunately, I think the West is very money oriented. And of course, I'm not going to enter like a political, argument, but it's just the dynamics we see. The politicians, people in power, where in this part of the world, they only care about money, work, producing more and selling more, growing bigger. So they want us to have children to continue that pattern. But there's nothing in place to help people make that journey easy. I know that in Asian countries, like I think it's Taiwan, maybe Korea, Hong Kong, they have those postpartum hotels.
Yes, I read about those. Yeah. Oh.
So I think it's more of an elite thing because I believe they're pretty pricey, but how amazing. There's one that opened in Germany. I don't know if you know. It's next to Hamburg.
Really?
I think it's called Wochenbett Resort.
Ah.
And it's kind of like an Airbnb. You can stay there for a night or 2 or 3 months, if you want. And they have like a midwife's office in the basement and they cook for you. It's the first place, and I hope it's the first of many. Because life isn't just about working and having children and deciding, okay, I'm not going to go back to work. I'll take care of them, but I'm really going to struggle psychologically.
I guess in a way as well, just thinking about it now from a different aspect. Maybe as well in the Western culture, the kind of problem we have is that women work to retirement age too. Whereas you see in a lot of other countries, the wife is still at home and it's more of this traditional setting, I guess. So there is a bit more capacity for her to manage the situation with you in the house. She's going to be cooking anyway. Whereas, if I look at my mom, she was working. She had to in order to just live,
Yeah.
And I mean, I have to be really honest here. I'm super, super grateful. I was very, very blessed and lucky with my village. Everyone kind of came together, and my husband, he really took on a lot of the cooking and cleaning roles. And we were quite blessed as well that because of Corona, for a while with the second child, he wasn't able to work.
Yeah.
And I think Corona was a blessing and a curse for many. I have to personally say it really gave me the opportunities to spend time with my kids and bond while my husband was there kind of managing the situation.
That's great.
But at the same time, I can see how if that goes, you are a little bit in a tricky situation because I think, as you said, I assume this is going to be a costly situation to go into this resort. I think it's something you really need to be able to afford.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I think most of us are in a position where we kind of have to just try and fend for ourselves.
Yeah, and I think the West is as well. I mean, I can't talk about the United States because it's another healthcare system, but I know from France and Germany, people here rely on whatever we pay for.
Yeah.
So we pay for social, money's taken out of our pocket, out of our salaries to pay for the insurance. It's not a service-based society. People will. One of the first questions I get asked is it paid by insurance? No matter how much the family needs it, they don't see it as an investment. So I registered as a self-employed to support families privately without running it through the insurance because I didn't even know that it could be paid by insurance until a year and a half later.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And now it is so easy to find clients for me, but I feel like something like postpartum shouldn't rely on insurances so much. Everyone deserves to have help, to have support, to be able to delegate in postpartum. And that's what the Netherlands did. So in the Netherlands, it's a pretty similar, but at the same time different system. Over 80% of families take that service. It's a given. If you have a baby, you will have support, hands-on support at home, exactly what I'm doing. So helping with quick cleaning, light chores, playing with older siblings, holding the baby so the parents can nap or take a shower. Accompanying to doctor's appointments, liaising with midwives or other professionals if needed. Exactly what I do, but it's a given. You don't need to fill out paperwork. You don't need to go to a doctor and get a prescription. It's just there. You have that right 8 to 10 days after birth. And I wish everyone had that. And the only thing I struggle with that system is that it's only 8 to 10 days after birth. And in my case, the first 8 to 10 days were great. I was in my little bubble. I didn't want someone else.
Yeah, the hormones.
I just
intimate.
needed to be in my little bubble.
Yeah.
What I like about the German system is that it's quite flexible. You get the support when your doctor says you need the support. So you can ask your doctor, tell them you're struggling, and it doesn't have to be a physical impairment. It could just be that you're exhausted.
Wow.
And it's good enough of a reason to get hands-on practical postpartum support. And I wish that we didn't have to go through that paperwork of prescription anywhere, let's say for 2 months, anywhere, anytime during the first year of the baby's life.
I'll be honest, it's almost, I feel like I was in a vulnerable situation. When I went to these doctors, I think a lot of them were asking me, how are you getting along? And I was sometimes going through phases where I was struggling slightly, but I almost didn't want to admit that because I felt like it would reflect badly on me that I'm a bad mother.
Absolutely. I get what you mean.
So I think to just ask the question and say, oh, how are you getting on? And I come from a culture, especially in Ireland, where, oh, yeah, great. No one's going to stand there and be like, oh, my God, I am doing terrible, it's like thumbs up. Oh, never been better. So I think there should automatically be some form of, you can opt out if you don't want to receive it.
Exactly.
and say, actually, you know what, I'm doing fine, or you know what, I'm introverted, I don't want somebody in my business, or, you know, but that it should maybe be a given anyway, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's scary to go up to somebody who you feel might judge you and your ability to be a good mom, and then kind of have to admit, no, I'm not doing well, you know?
Yeah. I think this idea of being a perfect mom, and I spoke with a friend who's a psychologist recently. What is a perfect mom? What does it mean to be a perfect mom to us? Every individual has their own idea of what a perfect mom is. But I think every person on the planet feels a little bit ashamed to reach out for support, because then it means we can't do it. It means that we're not good enough. We're not strong enough the way others are. But the truth is, everyone is struggling in silence. So that's my goal now, to make it more and more known, so the families who need support in Germany know that it actually exists. The other problem I have is that there's too little maternal care providers. And so that's also my goal, to make the profession more and more known, so women go and certify for maternal care. So it would just be a given that every woman in Germany who wants to have support, who wants to delegate whatever is not important in postpartum, anytime during the first 6 to 12 months after birth, could get someone, because it's just there.
Wow.
That would just be the perfect scenario. And I don't know if you've heard that the first 40 days after birth, the way a new mom will be treated the first 40 days after birth defines how she's going to be feeling in the next 40 years.
Wow.
So if you want healthy employees, healthy citizens in the long run, and I think nowadays even Germany relies on women working, then you need to invest a little bit on how they're taken care of in the biggest promotion of their life. You know, when you become CEO, or when you just get a little promotion, when you start a new job, there's always an onboarding phase, someone, you know, like a buddy, a work buddy. Why are moms thrown, you know, like into the battlefield without any kind of guidance or reassurance that they might struggle at times, but it's actually okay. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with them for finding that it's just too much. It's a lot to adjust to that new family dynamic, the new role, having someone's life under your responsibility. It's a lot. So providing every single new mother in Germany with maternal care isn't going to fix every new mother's problem of feeling sometimes insecure, overwhelmed, but at least give the reassurance that it's okay, and it's going to be okay because we're there for you. You're not alone. We're going to be your village. We're going to care for you. You will nurse your baby, maybe. You will nurture your baby, hug your baby, carry your baby. We will carry you.
I think especially as the times are changing, we need to adapt, right? And the system. I mean, if I look at my grandma's life in Germany years ago, you know, of course there are parallels, but still so much has changed, and I feel like the system is kind of dragging behind a little bit. The one thing that I also kind of found out, and yes, I will honestly say Germany is very good. We do have a lot of options, and as you said, especially for new moms, there are a lot of little, we'll say, helps in place. And especially when you're pregnant as well, there are different tests you can do. You can get different supports. But I find a lot of the times I found out about them by accident or through conversation with somebody else, instead of from the doctors or from, you know, the doulas or from the hospital where I gave birth. There was almost like I would have kind of expected, maybe naively, that there would have been some form of a like folder or some form of like, I don't know, booklet where it's like, right, welcome to being pregnant.
Yep.
This is what we offer. This is what you can avail of. This is who you need to reach out to, or this is how you need to apply.
Yep.
But I feel like it was almost something that was like, you know, on the Spielplatz, on the playground. It's like, hey, do you know that I did this? And like, what? Oh my God, I didn't even know that was available, you know? And it's word of mouth propaganda more than an actual system which outlines the support.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that too? Yeah.
I do, especially since I got my certificate as a Mütterpflegerin, maternal care provider. I reached out to so many doctors and midwives to say, hey, if you have any patient that's struggling, just know that I'm there to offer this and this and that. And I never heard back. Not a single healthcare professional answered me.
What?
I think it's also maybe they feel that we're competing in a way or another. Although I think I would never do what a gynecologist does or what a midwife does. I don't want to do what they do.
And they won't do what you do either. Let's be honest. Yeah.
And so, a gynecologist might not want to take the trash out of their patient's kitchen.
Yes.
The midwife doesn't have time after checking is the uterus back in its place. They usually go on to the next patient. They're not going to tell the new mother, okay, have you showered today? If not, let me hold the baby, get in the shower, let me make you a coffee. They don't have time for this. We're not competing.
Yeah.
And if we all come together, if all the maternal care providers in Germany and all the midwives and all the gynecologists and all the therapists come together and say, we need to take care of new parents better. All new parents, they might not admit it, but all new parents need to have the right and the access to support, whether or not they want it. We should offer it to them. It's going to save a lot of money to the public insurances.
Plus, I always saw like the doula who comes to your house after you gave birth as a support system for the doctors and for you. Yeah. So you don't have to get dressed. You don't have to go see the doctor. The doctors have enough to do with actual sick children and babies that they don't just want to be looking. You know what I mean? So I always saw it as like everybody kind of helps everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think especially doulas, they're less and less as well. And we know why. We know the background story there, especially with tariffs and pricing for them. Someone like you is like godsend, because it's so important to just have a system in place for these moms.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm a little bit sad to hear that that's the case and that we aren't like, yay, great, another extra,
But, I've also reached out to many moms when they were pregnant and I knew that they had no support system. So I reached out to them and I told them, hey, just so you know, you might want to plan for me to come over after birth. And they oftentimes tell me, I think we're going to be okay. 4 times out of 5, they contact me after birth and tell me I'm actually struggling. My husband went back to work and I'm struggling. I need help. They have a koala baby. People would say like a cry baby or high need baby. I call them koala babies because you can't expect a little creature that's been 9 months inside of you to want to spend any time away from you 9 months after cutting the cord.
Yes.
So it's just normal for babies to want to be next to you. I think Germany and I think France is the same, and probably many countries in the West. We became more and more individualists, and we don't dare say when we're not doing okay. We feel like we're not good enough if we plan to have support.
And I think you never actually know what's your baby going to be like. I think we all have this dream scenario that we're going to have a baby that's going to be like, you put them down at 8 and they wake up at 9 the next morning. And I think we always just expect like the best case scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the problem with the previous generation, and I've heard it from my own mother, if I told her I'm struggling, I'm tired of always having to tidy up, of always, the laundry's there's always more laundry. I'm never up to date with my Wäscheberge. My laundry mountain is always there.
Yeah.
And my mom just looked at me and said, well, that's what it is to be a mom. But it's not. We're a different generation. She didn't get the overstimulation from online, social media, the kids at kindergarten that go to gymnastics on Wednesdays and ballet on Thursdays and music classes on Fridays. And then on the weekend, they go swimming with their dad. Like, we are always stimulated that we should do more, that we're never doing enough. So we might prioritize the wrong things. We prioritize what might feel good to our kids, not what feels good to us. I know that in Düsseldorf, I don't know if every city does it, but I know that in Düsseldorf, when you welcome your first baby, there is a postpartum visit from someone assigned from the city of Düsseldorf, and they stay with you for almost 2 hours, and they probably share too many things because you're fresh.
I never got that.
I don't know when they started that.
Okay.
Something from the Ministry of Social Affairs.
Wow, okay.
If you've had your first baby in Düsseldorf, I didn't have it because I had my second baby here. So they knew I already had it first, so they didn't come. But if you welcome a baby here, your first baby, they would normally visit you and present you with a whole booklet full of information, probably too many information. But I went through that booklet once because I actually was lucky enough to support a mom when she had that visitation. And I read through the booklet, and they wrote something which always resonates with me is activities cost money, but they also cost energy. So my daughter is 4 now. She's going to be 4 in July. I don't think I remember anything from when I was 4. So all those classes I'm signing her up for, she won't remember them.
Yes.
She'd be just as happy if I take her to the outdoor playground. And I don't have to pay for those classes. Like, I know there are amazing classes, and some of those classes you actually even get to connect with other parents. So I love going to them. I think gymnastics is great for my daughter's age. She enjoys it very much. So that's the only class I decided to keep. Everything else, I just told myself, I don't have mental capacity for this.
I think especially living in a city, this is something I recently spoke about to my friends in Ireland, you know, coming from a rural community and living in a city. And yes, we do have so many offers, but A, the cost factor, right? And B, it's almost this, you constantly feel like you're missing out on something. It's this pressure almost because it's available. You should be making avail of it because that also makes you a better mother. And I see those kids, and some of my friends growing up were kids too, that were like ballet Monday, horse riding Tuesday, Wednesday tennis, Thursday, you know, trampoline jumping. And I think you get to a certain age and you just have a burnout from too much, right?
Yeah.
And I understand if you have an only child and you feel the need to connect. And, you know, let's be honest, not every mom is a Spielplatz mom. You know, I mean, I'm a little bit iffy about it too. And that's fine. But I think almost this pressure that gets built up, that we as moms, I suppose, build up in ourselves as well, it's keeping up with the others.
Yeah.
And if you're in a conversation with these moms and they're like, oh yeah, my kid goes this, and oh yeah, my kid does that, and you're to stand there and say, oh, well, we go for a walk in the park. You know, it's almost like you feel like you're being looked down on, I think, you know?
Yeah. I think your friends that had all these activities, I would love to ask them, what connections do you have with your parent? What memories do you have with your parents? Are they happy memories? Are they memories of your parents constantly running around? Do you feel like they were there for you? Or do you feel like you actually don't have many memories with them? Because I think more than perfection, children need presence. And it came clear to me very recently. I was putting way too much on my plate. I wanted to be the perfect mother that signs her daughter up or her child up for all activities available on the market. I found this amazing gymnastics studio 35 minutes away from my home, and I would drive every Monday, and both my kids were crying in the back seat because they didn't want to be in the car seats after kindergarten. And I was like feeding them snacks and then rushing home, hoping to be able to make dinner without them grabbing my legs and me being overstimulated and still making on time for bedtime. I said, stop.
Yes.
It just wasn't feasible for me anymore. And my daughter sometimes asks, when are we going to the gymnastics hall again? I told her they're on vacation for a while.
Yes. Oh, I hear you. You know what? I had this recently with a swim course, right? And like, no, don't get me wrong. I think it's very important that the kids learn to swim.
Yeah.
But this particular swim course is highly recommended, but it's about an 18-minute drive from my house.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, all my kids are at different levels of swimming. So the youngest one, she was too young to partake, but the eldest and the middle child. And one was on a Tuesday and one was on a Thursday or something, right? And I found all of a sudden this stress that built up in me. And yeah, it's only, a 40-minute course or something, and it's only an 18-minute drive, but it's the preparation. It's making sure you finish up whatever you're doing on time to go and collect them from kindergarten, to
Not
then make
forgetting
sure
any
exactly
swimsuit.
not forgetting packing the bag. I'm sorry, I forgot to. Yeah, that's a big one, and then getting them on time, then making sure there's no stau, there's no traffic,
Finding a spot to park the car.
Oh,
Making sure to pay
yes,
for parking.
yes. And all of a sudden, I found myself almost burnt out from this swim course that was happening 2 times a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this, But you don't see all the things that go around it. You don't see the extras. And when you're there, it's conversations with other moms. And I know it's lovely, but sometimes just having to make the effort then to find a conversation and make conversation when you're like stressed and trying to get other things done.
Yeah.
I found it super, super hard to manage.
Yeah. I think sometimes there are more disadvantages than actual benefits.
Yeah.
And so we have to prioritize. And it's okay if we don't do all the activities that our friends' kids do. They might be living in another neighborhood, doing activities available there for them. So it's easier for them to go to those because they don't have to come to our side of town.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you make the mistake and you look for the best course. And then it's like all the way at the other end of town. And then you're like, what am I doing to myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then recently my daughter said, when am I going back to swimming? I'm like, yeah, it's fully booked right now. We'll wait till, the winter comes. And then,
Yeah.
because it's just too much, Looking back at the early start of your postpartum, what support do you think would have made the biggest difference?
I think someone to come over, have a chat with me, because my husband was at work. I had no family, no friends. I couldn't make friends because it was COVID. But just someone to be there to talk to me. As much as I loved my daughter, it was a one-way discussion.
Yeah.
I needed interaction. You constantly talk to a baby who doesn't respond back.
Yeah.
And then contact naps, you scroll your phone, seeing all these perfect moms doing things with your baby. And you're like, I'm still wearing my pajamas, haven't washed my hair in 3 days. My baby's sleeping on me.
Yeah.
I haven't vacuumed the house and they're out there doing this with their baby. What am I doing?
Yeah.
So I just needed someone to come over to tell me, it's okay. Everything in his own time. You'll have time there'll be a day where you can put your daughter down and you can take a shower and she'll entertain for a few minutes with a book. There will be time for those things, everything in its time. I think the first 18 months in my case, of course, there's good days, bad days, but it takes me 18 months to get back to feeling like myself again. So I struggle with this Wochenbett idea in Germany that it's 6 to 8 weeks because I think postpartum lasts as long as the child depends on you.
Yes.
And I saw a big change with my daughter when she was 3.5. I think between 3 and 4 is a major leap where they actually request for things to be done without any help. They want to put their shoes on. They want to read a book alone. They're able to draw or, they can play at the playground all by themselves. They're not constantly asking for us to be there. So I would say postpartum lasts 3 years.
Yes. Do you know what? My youngest is going to be 4 next month. And I say to everybody, it was only last year, right? Bearing in mind my son is going to be 7 now in December. it was only last year that I started to somewhat feel like a normal person who wasn't in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was 6 years
Yeah.
in survival mode.
Yeah.
And people were looking at me, and I don't want to say this to moms who are at the start of the journey to get scared. You know, obviously I had 3, one after the other. So that's a cumulative, you know, a cumulative drama, you know. But this feeling like I'm actually able to really sit down and think about things logically and really feel normal emotions again last year, you know. And I had this neighbor. When my kids were born, she had 2 daughters. The youngest would have been, I think, maybe 8 at the time, and the eldest maybe 11. And I remember watching her, and she was out there with her kids, and they were swimming together, and they were doing these things together. And I remember just looking at myself thinking, oh my God, I'm doing such a terrible job as a mom. Mm-hmm. You know, at this stage I had 2, and I was comparing my 2, mm-hmm. who were like 3 and like 1 at the time, or whatever, 1.5, to her with her grown children. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't think about the age. I just looked at a mom with 2 kids, and I'm a mom with 2 kids. Yeah. And I'm failing. I'm not able to go swimming with them. I'm not able to do all these things with them. I'm overwhelmed. Like, even going to a swimming pool, I'm constantly on like this huge trigger alert that someone might be drowning around me, you know? And I remember just feeling terrible. And I said to her, like, even watching you, like, you know, hats off to you. You're doing a fantastic job. You're brilliant at like being a mom, and look what you do for your kids. And then recently she ended up having another child. And because she only had the extra small one, she said, you know what, I'm going to try for another one so I can have 2 small kids again, mm-hmm. you know, so they kind of can play together. And I met up with her recently. They've moved to a bigger house. I met up with her recently, and she just looked at me. She said, oh my God, I am struggling. And that's when all of a sudden I looked back at my 2 and now compared myself to her. And you know what? We were at the exact same level. Mm-hmm. And she was then in the position where she was like, oh my God, you did so well with your 2. And I think it's this constant comparing to others. Yeah. And we just really damage ourselves with that, I think, you know? Yeah. I mean, do you find as well, I suppose, you being in that role and going around and helping moms, that they're almost like, what am I doing wrong? How come you are able to manage it all so well? Do you see that that's a common thing as well? Yeah.
Constantly. Especially that my youngest is only 18 months old. So people ask me, but how can you help moms when your baby is also very young? And why is your child already in kindergarten at 18 months? So I usually tell them, you know, I come from a country where women go to work after 2.5 months. So 18 months is an achievement. I think moms tend to compare themselves. It's also why I think the previous generation didn't struggle as much, because they didn't have access to comparing on their phone. They could only compare when meeting with friends. But now we have constant access to, oh, this is what my friend's doing, and this is what this influencer is doing, and you get to show what you want to show. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's very draining, and of course, it's not ideal to tell expecting mothers or fresh new mothers who are still in their bubble that postpartum lasts 3 years. But it's also a reassurance, I think, because you gotta give yourself time. You gotta put your foot down and delegate.
Yes.
Focus on what's actually necessary, your survival, your mental health, your baby's health, your bond with your baby, for your baby to feel securely attached to you. The rest doesn't matter. Mm. And I know 3 years seems like a very long time, but it becomes much easier when you don't have to focus on every single task in the mental load, let's say. When you're able to distribute the cards to your partner, to a babysitter, maybe even an au pair, maybe even a Mütterpflegerin, or a postpartum doula. You know, I think moms will buy the most expensive baby carrier on the market,
Yes.
which is not necessarily ergonomic. I won't mention the brand name, but they will spend so much money on signing up for baby gymnastics courses for 6 to 12 months, as if the baby would remember that, as if the baby needs it.
Yeah, to socialize.
Exactly. But they're not going to invest in being able to delegate at home. And I wish that even in countries where there's no such thing as a state-paid maternal care, that families and parents and even the village actually realize the importance of it. I often tell pregnant moms, have you added postpartum care to your baby wish list? Show me your baby wish list. What's in it? What's in it for you? Your baby needs nothing.
Yes.
Apart from diapers and milk, they need nothing. You need something. You need food. You need someone to come and clean your house. You need a group of mom friends with babies the same age range as yours. That's it.
Yes.
So invest in yourself. Invest in your needs.
I think also the flip side, if you are someone who has a pregnant person in your family and you're looking to gift them something, don't go clothes, right? This is something that lasts like 2 weeks and then it's going to be out.
Don't go teddy bear.
Yes, they have enough of those, you know.
Yeah.
I think where we should be focusing on is that support system. And what I always say is I always give like vouchers for like food delivery, for example. And I know it's not the healthy option. I know it's not ideal. But when they're at their most desperate stage, right? And they're like, I don't know how I'm going to provide food for myself. The baby's fine. The baby's looked after, but I'm starving, you know? A little gift card,
Yeah.
50 euro, whatever on it, whatever you can scrape together, get the whole family together, you know, it's going to literally save their life, you know?
Absolutely. I think there are two things new parents need. Only two things. Sleep and food.
Yes.
Because they need energy to take care of their newborn. You can't control their sleep. You can't control the baby's sleep. So the second source of energy is nutrition. So every single person who has a friend who's pregnant or a colleague who's pregnant or a sister who's pregnant, get that in your brain. They will need food at some point.
Yes.
Don't visit them without, even if it's just a basket of fruit.
Yes.
Just some snacks, even if it's the Studentenfutter.
Yes.
Something they could put on their nightstand. Snack on during the night, during night feeds, or just bring them food.
And also on the flip side, I made the mistake whenever people were coming to visit, I would get into a panic because of the state of the house.
Yeah.
And I would be like, oh God, all right, okay, so now I'm going to have to clean the entire place, right? And then I run in and I'm like cleaning here, cleaning there. So when people come, they're like, oh, she has it together, you know?
Yeah.
And I think from that aspect as well, I think just saying from the start, please, I'm coming, whatever you do not clean.
Yeah.
I want to come and I want to clean for you.
Yeah.
I have taken time out of my day, and I think to specifically make that point before you go visit that person, it's going to put so much relief into the
100%.
dynamic, you know? Yeah.
I know. You're absolutely right. And when you're there, to tell the mom, sit down, let me make coffee for us. You don't have to make me a coffee. I will figure out, you know. And whenever I go and visit families, I tell them, don't clean for me. My midwife, after my second daughter was born, I had a wonderful midwife, and she came over to my house and my parents were there. My mom always took care of the cleaning. She doesn't cook. We had to clean for them even if I had just given birth, but they took care of the cleaning. And my midwife came over and she said, if your parents weren't here, I would tell you your house is too clean for someone in postpartum. It's okay to have a messy house. The baby won't remember it.
Wow.
They remember that they were able to sleep safely against you, hear your heartbeat, smell your smell, feel your breath over the little nose, feel your warmth, feel your hands hugging them. That's what they need. They don't need you to be like, I need to put them down. I need to put them down because I need to empty the dishwasher.
Yes. I think the priorities seem to somehow, in a way, I feel we're still stuck in this traditional model, but in a time where it's just not possible with everything that's going on between working, between providing for this, doing that, you know. And there are also so many expectations that I guess we didn't have back then. All these appointments almost, these prenatal appointments, postnatal appointments, appointment. I mean, even my grandma, she was like, what? You've got another checkup and then another one? It's like, that's great, but he's fine. I'm like, yeah, but it's part of the whole situation. You have to. If you don't, you know, you get into trouble. She's like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think there are a lot of aspects as well of this modern life that we're not really seeing, you know, that do take up a lot of time. And yeah, if you were to describe, say, the perfect support system for someone in postpartum, what would that be?
I think because I'm able to see it with the families that I support, I take care of more than one family at a time, Monday at one family, Tuesday at another. It makes a huge difference just having someone once during the week to finally tidy up. So I think if every single new parent had the right and the resource, because you also need professionals, to have someone come, let's say, 3 hours, at least once a week, for 2 months, anytime during the first 12 months of postpartum, I think therapists would be able to go on vacation more often.
Wow.
I think the government would save money on the healthcare system. I think children would grow to be happier because they would see their parent argue less and their mom maybe cry less or feel less overwhelmed. That's my goal.
Wow. And you're doing it. And you are doing it, you know? Because again, I never really knew that your role existed up until I found you. Right? I knew of doulas and I knew of doctors, but I never knew that was an option. I always thought, the only way to do it is going via the Krankenkasse, via the health system, and then telling them I'm totally overwhelmed, and then them disapproving and saying, well, tough luck. And, you know, then you have to prove that your husband's not there to help and support. And it was a minefield, like it really, really was. So, yeah, to see that the option is there.
Some insurances are better than others.
Yeah.
That's one thing in Germany. You get to pick your insurance. In France, it's like you have the standard insurance and then you get like an extra insurance for things that are specific to you and your family. But here, some insurances are great. Sometimes I get pregnant moms contacting me because they find out about what I do and they tell me, well, I already know I'll need support. This is my insurance provider. If there's time, I tell them, change your insurance provider because it's better to go through the hassle of changing your insurance and get the support because you will need it. You know you need it, so you will need it. Because if moms who think they don't need it, if you think you need it, you will need it indeed.
Yeah.
Everyone should have access to this. I also didn't know that it was available. Actually, Mütterpfleger used to be called Wochenpfleger and exists since women could give birth in Germany. So since ever. You used to give birth at home.
Yes.
You had a midwife and a Wochenpfleger because then you stayed at home. Then birth got moved to the hospital. So women used to stay 5 to 10 days maybe in the hospital.
Yes.
So they didn't need a Wochenpfleger and they didn't need the help at home because they had it in the hospital. Nowadays, women go home 2 days after giving birth, sometimes the day after giving birth.
That was with my last one. They told me,
Frau
Helbig, you're an expert in giving birth. If you want to go home, off you go.
Yeah.
And I made that mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, I was pushed because, and that's one thing I want to mention as well, I wasn't happy with. after I gave birth, there was a woman lying next to me who was still pregnant.
Mm.
And she was possibly going to lose her child.
Okay.
So giving birth, I felt like I was showing my baby off to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt highly, highly uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was presenting something that she might not have.
Yeah.
And I remember almost hiding with my newborn child because I didn't want to be provocative.
Mm-hmm. But you took that responsibility upon you when it should have been the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
Protecting her, not keeping her away from babies, but protecting her.
Yes. And that was my big problem. Unfortunately, she did get taken to surgery, and I was like, I've got to go. I cannot be here.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes back, and this is when I kind of spoke to them. I said, listen, like, what's the story? So, yeah, you can go home now if you want. You're the expert. Off you go. And I did. Now, unfortunately, I think she was lucky and everything went fine. But I think sometimes we don't really speak about the environment we have in the hospitals as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's uncontrollable, you know, who you end up lying next to and what their situation is. But without going into too much detail, there were a couple of situations where I felt very uncomfortable being there with my newborn child.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I felt like I was in danger, but because I felt emotionally I was almost negatively impacting the mental health of the person who was lying next to me.
Mm-hmm. That's another huge topic.
Yeah.
The healthcare system and
Yes.
how poorly the public healthcare system is funded. They're understaffed, do so many extra hours, so they don't have time for all the patients that come in. And unfortunately, I don't accuse them or excuse them. Unfortunately, how not to become toxic when everything pushes you to
Yes.
be toxic.
Yes.
And that's why I decided to give birth in a birthing center for my second, because I knew I would have that one-on-one support. My midwife would not leave my side.
Yes.
And sure, I had to go home straight after birth, but at least the entire birthing process, you know, I felt taken care of. I felt I was in a cozy room and it wasn't less painful.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the process is the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't rely on medication because there isn't any available.
Yes.
But the environment made up for it. And looking back, I pray I never have to give birth in a hospital again.
And it's empowering, right? To sit there surrounded by these women who all know of your strength.
Yeah.
And I feel sometimes in hospital, your strength is taken from you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like there is a form of like intrusion where there doesn't have to be. Yeah. There were a lot of things that I kind of noticed as well where I felt, oh, I don't know. I really don't know. And I think the German healthcare system, you're right, there are definitely a lot of areas that need to improve. And I personally feel as well from a doula aspect, trying to even find a doula that is available for you. Mm-hmm. We have the option, but again, do we even have the resources?
Yeah.
And I think we are coming to a slight point now where they're actually falling away.
Mm-hmm.
And to actually find someone, like for 2 of my births, I had the same midwife, same doula. And then when the third birth came around, she messaged me, hey, sorry, I'm not available.
Mm-hmm.
She said, look, you're going to have to, I don't even know anybody who is available. You're just going to have to message the Zentrale, the central.
Yeah.
And I did. And they said, sorry, we don't have anyone available.
Yeah. The midwife situation is really, I mean, in English, I think it's very similar. In German, it's different. The doula is there for birth, but it's not a medical profession.
Mm.
So the midwives, there's a huge shortage, really. I saw a friend yesterday. She's 4.5 months pregnant, still doesn't have a midwife for her postpartum.
Yes.
And she just moved to Düsseldorf recently. She doesn't know German. She doesn't know the German system. But everyone's booked out, you know. And when I got pregnant with my second, the same day I contacted midwives. I was 9 weeks pregnant. And most of them were already booked out for my due date. So I mean, surely it's not just about the profession, but the conditions.
Yeah.
that's just not, they're not attracting the right people, you know?
What would you advise a mother who is kind of at the start of her pregnancy in Düsseldorf and is trying to navigate the healthcare system?
Yeah.
Would you have any tips, any places to...
Get all the help you can get.
Okay. Where should they turn to? Their doctor? Or like where would you send them?
I would send them towards midwives, doulas, Mütterpflegerinnen. I sometimes get requests from families where the babies are slightly bigger than fresh newborns. And I tell them if I have no capacity, just ask for a regular household support. It's the same form to fill out, the same request. It's just that maternal care falls into the bucket of household support. So there's a lot more people doing household support than maternal care at the moment in Düsseldorf, at least. So they might not have the knowledge of what your baby needs or what kind of food you need in postpartum. But if your baby's slightly bigger and you're struggling to keep up with your household, get all the support you can get. If I can't be there for you and you might already be a single mom, maybe I've been contacted by moms who are pregnant and they know they'll be solo moms once the baby is born. There are amazing food subscriptions now in Germany, I know, where you can get like a 6-week plan of postpartum food being delivered to you. Wow. It is a lot of money, but if you're going to host a baby shower, if your friends want to get you something, don't ask them for the baby carrier. Ask them for this postpartum food subscription. Like, take care of yourself and dare to do it. Don't feel ashamed to put yourself first.
Yes. And I think it's almost this obsession we have when we fall pregnant to go out and buy everything new. I think it's almost this, I'm going to go online now and pay like €500 for this chair. And like, you know, when the fact is, these babies use these things for like a maximum of maybe 6 months, 7 months, right? These things, these items are pretty much brand new. And especially in Germany, we have so many second-hand shops that specialize in kids' items. Yeah. And there's one around the corner. I will never, ever name drop because I am too scared that place becomes popular. But there are so many fantastic second-hand shops around, right? Where even if you just ask, and I've done this before when my kids' birthdays came up and friends said, listen, what can we get them? And they have everything toy-wise. I said, listen, just get me a voucher for that place, right? Because I love to buy the kids' clothes there. I bring stuff, buy stuff, you know, it's this cycle. So instead of putting all your money into buying the brand new pram and the brand new this, brand new that, get it secondhand. You're going to save so much money and you're going to be shocked to see how little you're actually going to use it, you know? And You
know, when I was pregnant with my first, I don't know what got into our heads. I think my husband, he's a wonderful man, but he can't say no to me. And sometimes I wish he did. I found the Ferrari of strollers. Oh. What I thought was the Ferrari of strollers, at least. So we bought it, and it was huge. So I told him, we need a bigger car. So we went out shopping for a car. We had no children. We got the most luxurious Audi A6 leather seats. We just sold it a few years ago. We sold it 2 years ago. And we just got a van, secondhand van. I don't care if my daughter eats a food pouch or like something with crumbs.
Yes.
The trunk is large. I don't have the stroller anymore. But that was a big, typical first-time mom mistake.
Yeah.
Thinking, I need this huge stroller, which in the end we didn't use because my daughter was a koala baby. And for 8 months, she could only sleep in the carrier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's almost, you even add more stress by having these new items because you're constantly worried about like damaging them, for example.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The stroller as well. Like, oh, I was like, we can't go through like the forest with that because it's going to splash. And then in the rain, you're avoiding everything. And it's supposed to be an item that's meant to make your life easier,
Yeah.
not more difficult.
Yeah.
You know? What is this thing that goes into our head? It's almost like we think we're going to be better moms if we get the most expensive, luxurious thing out there. And people are going to be like, oh, she must be a good mom because she's got that really expensive item.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. I was told recently that a kid's store is selling a brand new stroller and everything's white.
That is definitely not built by a mom. I am telling you that they don't have children.
I hope that the families who see this and might be expecting think a little bit with anticipation that this might not be the best color.
Oh no.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's you. Oh no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This makes it authentic. It's probably to tell you that
they're looking for me.
Yeah, everyone's like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Bless.
Oops. What is that? No.
Give me a little, hey, I'm okay.
Yes.
All is well. And I have that happen to me all the time. My phone goes off or something. Or that camera went off earlier on, didn't it? You know, so that's... At least we still have the other two.
Yeah. I know my husband picked up the kids, so...
Oh, good. Quick check. And it's important. And this is another aspect, I think. And it's really, really feeds into this. You always have to be on.
Mm-hmm.
There is no time where you can not be available, you know? And again, to the support, you know, it's so important. So important.
Yeah.
Since founding these groups, that you obviously have this community, what do you feel the impact has been on the mothers who have joined this community? Or have they given you any feedback to say, look, this is what it's done for me in motherhood?
Yeah. I think I think I mentioned it earlier that they made friendships.
Yeah.
And they were able to discover new places in Düsseldorf or elsewhere, connect with moms who got them. I think that's the most important thing. You might have friends who have kids and they're like 2-3 years older than your baby. And you think they're going to be your best friends because they're moms and they know, but no, they don't know. They forgot what it's like. They don't know what you're living.
Yes.
They're in a different phase. They're into toddlerhood. It's different. They're dealing with very different topics. Adapting at kindergarten and the child wanting to be more and more independent, saying no all the time. You're with a baby that's purely dependent, not independent. So it's a different phase. Moms need food, someone to take care of them, and a group of mom friends that they can relate to.
Do you feel like it's almost become a support for some of them as well to get these kind of hidden tips and tricks as well, and to have someone, if they come with a problem maybe, that the community kind of rallies together and says, listen, this is who you need to speak to, or, you know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. And I created the group because I wanted us to meet. I wanted to talk to people. I needed the social interactions, but at the same time, I had no village and I wanted to feel what it's like to have a village. When I welcomed my second, some of these moms that I had known now since 3 years almost, they came over to my house bringing soup and pie and, you know, emptying the dishwasher. Yes. They took my baby so that I could take a 30-minute nap. That's what I really try to keep with it's a WhatsApp group that I have. I don't have an Instagram community yet, and I hope I get to have one soon because the WhatsApp group is very Düsseldorf based, but my goal isn't to only take care of the mental health of Düsseldorf moms because I can relate to the moms in France, maybe in the US. Like every mom, I think, has the same struggle of feeling isolated, of not daring to say when they're struggling. And so I know that for some people, for some businesses, my community is a target. Can you please promote my class on there? Is it okay if I post that we're having this event and blah, blah, blah? I just started selling this product. Is it okay if I post it? No. Because the WhatsApp group is a safe space.
Yeah.
We're in between moms and we can be open. We can support one another. If someone's struggling, she can open up and no one will judge.
You know what? Thank you for that, for not turning it into a like money-making machine based on, because I think that naturally tends to probably happen in a lot of these situations, right?
Yeah.
It's like people see, oh, we've got like so and so many women. Oh yeah, look, let's see what we can flog on here, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
And obviously, it burnt me out at some point. Constantly feeling like I have to nurture this community and I have to plan events for them, partner with businesses, book spots at cafes and so on, never earning a commission.
Wow. So you have not like...
I've never monetized the group.
Incredible. But also, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
No, Catherine, that's not okay.
I know now.
Yeah.
I know now.
Yeah.
But I didn't want the moms to pay for it. I didn't want the moms to feel like it's a luxury to have a support system. I wanted the businesses to pay for bringing potential new customers to their space or to their classes or to have a trial of their products and so on. But that came recently. But for 2.5 years, I did it purely because I loved getting the feedback that the moms were very grateful for this safe community.
Yeah. Well, I think rightly so. The businesses should pay for this service. And I think it's only right if they're benefiting from it.
Yeah.
If you're going there, you're bringing business to their door, no. Ah, that's it now, Catherine. You've got me involved. I'm going to be here now. Have you monetized that group?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but again, I suppose, look, it works both ways. Yeah, I totally understand what you're doing is fantastic. You're honestly making a huge impact.
Thank you.
And as someone who's been through this, this is my third rodeo, it really, and I'm telling for anybody who's at the beginning of a pregnancy or who's thinking about having kids, people like you are so, so important in the process, especially in this world, especially as someone. And okay, I say I'm from here. I say I have my family here, right? But in fact, I lived abroad for a huge chunk of my life. Mm-hmm. My friends here, none of them have kids. Mm-hmm. I was the first person, right? So none of them knew how to deal with the situation, right? My mom, she lives in France, so she wasn't around. My dad, he was my dad, and my grandparents, they're older. So to be honest, although I was from here and although I did officially have family here, I also felt very lonely and alone. And I felt like I was almost a pioneer in my group to conquer this world of having children. And everybody's like, so tell me, how did that go? What do I need to know when I'm in the position? I was almost like the ringleader. Yeah. And that felt a little bit lonely too.
Yeah, and you don't want to tell them that you don't want to go out with them. You want to be that cool person that's still part of the group.
And so many friends stopped being my friends because I wasn't the person I was.
Yeah. You become boring. You become the person who doesn't come at 8 p.m. or that stays up all night.
One of my friends, she used to invite me to all sorts of functions and parties. And every time I said, I'm sorry, but no. And it got to a point where she stopped inviting me. Not because she didn't want me there, but she knew inviting me would put pressure on me.
Yeah.
And it was only recently when I think I joined the first event again, about a year and a half ago, she was like, oh, you're back now. Now I'm back, putting you back in the group. You're getting invited again, So I think sometimes it is just a switching and respecting the dynamic of the person and the capacity.
Yeah.
And she didn't take offense to it if I didn't show up to her like grand opening of her gallery or her birthday, but she saw it for what it is. And she saw I was struggling.
Yeah.
Now, she didn't walk in my shoes. She didn't feel the pain, but she could see I was dealing with something and she respected that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's all it is. It's not necessarily saying, oh, do you know what? You've kids now. I'm not interested in being your friend. But I think it's holding space and respecting the changing aspects of motherhood,
Yeah.
even if you haven't experienced it yourself, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's also, if people really care about you before having children, I wish they thought about ways to adapt to you. A few months ago, a mom felt very overwhelmed. She was very nervous because she just felt like motherhood was a prison. She couldn't go out with her baby and she missed going out with her friends so badly. And I told her, why don't you go to a kids cafe? You can get a coffee, you can get a brunch, an avocado toast with your friends. And sure, for them, it might be a little chaotic because they don't know how loud kids can be.
Yeah.
But it'll be safe for you.
Yeah.
You have a changing table. If your baby cries, only your friends might be unsettled, but everyone else will be looking at you and nodding, yeah, I know what it's like.
Yeah.
So set your boundaries. Just because you're the elephant in the room and everyone else doesn't understand what you're going through doesn't mean you have to adapt. People should adapt to you. Like, it's a matter of prioritizing your own well-being and focusing on what really matters.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think it's a way to also see who true friends are in your life. And it's a filter system, I think, as well.
Absolutely.
And it really, really helps you to kind of reprioritize and see, you know, kind of who should be around and who shouldn't.
Yeah.
But for you, obviously running kind of workshops and helping parents as well get involved or understand kind of what's to be expected or what's to come with postpartum. What are the kind of misconceptions that you see a lot of the times? What are people maybe positive or negatively expecting that's not really true?
I think mothers expect that they should know what it's like to have a baby, and co-parents, especially dads, expect that their partner or the mother of their children will know. It's inevitable. They're made for this. So just ride on, keep going. Everything's going to be fine. And maybe 2 months after birth, we could go on a vacation. No one tells you, unfortunately. It might sound negative, but I mean it with, I'm not sure how to say it exactly. I don't mean to be negative. The work that I do is preventive. I don't want you to be shocked. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I want you to be prepared. I want you to know that it's okay. If it's difficult, it's okay. Most likely, every mother you know has been there. You're not different. You're not worse than them. That's what motherhood does to you. Yeah. It's okay if it's difficult. And so that's why I often say, like, postpartum is difficult. It lasts long, not because I want to put this negative image or disgust people from having kids. I love my kids. I think motherhood is the most beautiful project I've ever taken on.
Yes.
But it is difficult, and it's difficult if you're alone. It's difficult if you try to manage everything by yourself. So my job is to prevent it from happening, to inform you of the options that you have, so you're not alone, so you get support, so you're able to delegate, so someone takes care of you. And I think people should be very confident in, no one thinks like, I'm not going to sign up for a birth preparation course because then it means I don't know how to give birth.
Yeah.
Everyone signs up for it.
Yes.
So be confident in saying, I'm going to get support for after birth because I don't want to focus on that. I have my baby and my physical recovery to focus on. I don't want to be worried about the household. So I'm going to plan for it now.
Yes.
It should be a no-brainer.
And I think it actually makes you a stronger person. Like, I've never seen a woman who said, you know what, I've this in place, that in place, and thought, she's lost control, But it's the mom that's trying to juggle 50,000 things at the same time. And she's just, you can see by her, she's exhausted. And those are the ones where you're like, oh, come here. I just want to give you a hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need a bit of support. Yeah, it's true. And it's a shame that we kind of categorize ourselves in that way, you know? So if someone's struggling postpartum and they realize and they're kind of, you know, in this position right now, they're like, look, I'm really not enjoying this. There's something going on. I don't feel like I have control. What's the first step they should take?
There are different degrees of postpartum depression. I think because of the hormones, every mother feels certain symptoms of postpartum depression at some point. And you might realize that it's postpartum depression or a little bit more anxiety than normal. But I think everyone feels it to a certain degree.
Yeah.
The overwhelm, the anxiety, the fear, the constantly being like on a high alert mode.
Checking if the baby's still alive every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was the worst. Waking up in the middle of the night, checking.
Or adding it into an app.
Oh, yes.
The baby slept from 8 to 8:30. Okay. The baby slept from 9:15 to 9:28. And nursed for 6 minutes from the right side. This is too much.
Yes.
Like, you think it gives you reassurance, but actually it gives you expectations of looking for patterns that just don't exist.
Yeah.
So leave that aside. Just go with the flow. And I agree, the flow sometimes feels like a tsunami.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes, yeah.
But don't add extra stress. And talk to somebody. People who are burnt out from work, go to therapists.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's even paid by their employer. Like, they have therapists in certain offices. Just talk to someone, talk to your partner. If your partner's in the picture, they have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
That it's just too much. And it's also their job to take care of you. The very first person, if your partner's in the picture, the very first person that should take care of you is your partner. In making sure you are fed, you are showered, that your basic needs are met. Because we often see things about me time and like having me time, blah, blah, blah. Going to the toilet or taking a shower and washing your hair is not me time. Yeah. That's basic hygiene.
Yes.
So your partner has to make sure this is done. Because they wouldn't go to work without a shower. Yeah. They can comfortably go to the toilet at the office.
Yes.
Their boss is not going to knock like, hey,
this is
open. I want to sit on your lap, please.
Yeah.
That's just not happening.
This is what I said to my husband when he was going off to. He's like, I'm working. I'm like, do you know what I would do for 8 hours where I have the chance to go and spend 15 minutes in the toilet by myself without someone at the door?
Yeah.
And it's those little things.
Yeah. The basic needs.
They add up. Yes.
Yeah. So this is a conversation that needs to be had before birth.
Yeah.
It should be part of the birth preparation course.
Yes.
If they're going to talk about breastfeeding, which is something happening after birth, they should mention that the mother has to care for her newborn and for herself. Someone has to care for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the partner isn't, as far as I know, in most cases, it takes two to make a baby.
Yes.
So they're not just like bystanders. They should be involved.
Yeah.
So in most of the families that I support, when the family reaches out to me during pregnancy, I ask to make a WhatsApp group with the mom, the dad, and me. And I address the dads directly.
Perfect.
I need you to get these groceries so I can make you lasagna.
Brilliant. That's so
I involve
clever.
them because it's not, and they feel okay with it. They're happy. But then when I leave them, when I leave the families, when my time with them is over, there's dynamic of the mom having to ask him for things is not there. So he naturally, hopefully, will own his role because he never relied on her telling him what to do.
It was you, an external person that almost trains, not even trains might be a little bit wrong for the, but that, you know, sets kind of expectations around what's required.
Yeah.
And then you hope that that person carries on
Yeah.
understanding what is needed. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah. And I mean, this is, of course, sounding in the case of some dads not being very present, but there are also dads, and I praise them a lot when I see it happening. Like in some families, the dad was owning all of the cleaning cards in the house. And in another house, the dad was attending every single doctor's appointment. And so these are things that should also be acknowledged because society doesn't expect them to do that.
Yeah.
So they should feel proud that they do it. So maybe they brag about it and change their friends' minds so that those friends will also be there for their partners when they have a baby. I mean, it's a work in progress. Social media is good and bad, and, you have to take it with a grain of salt. But I think, unfortunately, if you look at it too much, you can quickly fall into this trap of, oh, this person's perfect and I'm not. But on the other end, I love that on social media, you have access to all these different kinds of information. And I try to promote the work of postpartum care. And I try to promote the idea of an equitable, a fair mental load, something that's, I've read a book from Eve Rodsky, recommended by a very dear friend of mine. And she says, not everything that's fair is equal. Not everything equal is fair. So it's not about owning 50-50, but just having a partnership with we expecting from each other. The expectations are clear, and no one's going to nag that I did this, you didn't do that. Like, we have clear expectations. Monday, I go out, and that's actually what I've put in place with my husband, that we have a babysitter, and she comes every single Monday. And Monday night is my night.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, but do you know what? And that makes you a better mother in the long term, because you have that evening to just go back to yourself. And I think that's the aspect we see. Oh, it makes us a bad mother if we ask for help or do this. No, what makes you a bad mother is you're completely burnt out. You're shouting at everyone. You're overwhelmed by the smallest tasks.
Yeah.
That's what actively makes you, if we want to be saying, in terms, not if you take a couple of hours on a Monday to look after yourself. Like.
And your kids will replicate everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So if they see you being gentle to yourself, if they see that you and your partner are both happy because you both got me time, so it makes you a better couple.
Yeah.
Where communication is more positive, then they will be raised with this ideal, what to expect from a relationship and how they should treat themselves as well, or treat each other in their future relationships. Yeah.
So as a partner then, right, if you're going through that phase, what are some of the things that you should be keeping an eye out on? Absolutely that the person has a chance to take care of their needs. But are there any warning signs where you would say, right, that's a clear warning sign. If you see this crop up in your partner, you need to act?
I think outbursts, if the new mom cries and you think it's for no reason, it could very potentially be that she internalized so much and she's overwhelmed and she's scared, nervous, stressed, anxious that she's not doing things the right way. And I've put together a guide. I call it From Partners to Parents. And it's not very long, but it's just a few chapters of what is the mental load, libido after birth, especially with if breastfeeding. What is baby clash when it's just everything is too much and you just don't have time to communicate in a positive way. You're just going to lash out at each other. And I don't exactly remember how Eve Rodsky says it, but she mentioned that when cortisol level is high, concentration isn't. So basically when you react on the moment, when you're so angry, overwhelmed, overstimulated, high on cortisol, you don't really think about the way you say things.
Yeah.
And how it could actually impact the other person, how the other person might take it, and the repercussions, because you have this big crisis, and actually it might just be a snowball effect that whatever you say on the moment without stepping back and taking a moment to breathe in, breathe out, and then discuss when the kids are maybe asleep so there's no stress around. It can actually not make the situation worse. So for partnerships, I recommend to discuss during pregnancy, if possible, about each other's expectations.
Yeah.
I grew up with a certain expectation of what the father of my kids would do. For me, it was quality time with the kids. I expected that the father of my kids would have every Saturday morning with the kids, go to football, go to swimming, whatever. I had this expectation, but I never discussed it with my husband. And my husband wasn't raised that way.
Yeah.
And he has great memories with his dad. He's very close to his parents, but they've never had this quality time.
Yeah.
So, and he told me, he's the only person who speaks Arabic to the kids. And my daughter speaks perfect Arabic. Surely if she wasn't spending enough quality time with him, she wouldn't speak Arabic.
Yes.
And so I realized actually, okay, I had my expectation, but he's doing it in a different way. And just because it's different doesn't mean it's necessarily bad.
Yes.
So it's good to discuss each other's expectations perfectly beforehand, or to treat the family like a business. So you have the CEO and the CFO, and they have regular business meetings where they discuss everything that's been bad and everything that's been good in the past 2 weeks. And then they do a rain check 2 weeks later.
Wow. Yes. And that way you kind of distance away from the emotional attachment and the kind of, I suppose, patterns that you're stuck in, and you really look at it effectively. What are the numbers?
Yeah.
What do the numbers say?
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, it takes time. It's an adjustment. It doesn't happen overnight that no one raises their voice during the business meeting.
Yeah.
But at some point, things will just flow naturally, and it just becomes more natural to compliment each other. I really liked that you made the girls' favorite banana bread the other day. Saved me so much time in preparing their lunchbox in the morning.
Yes.
Little things that nurture the relationship.
Yes. That makes so much sense, because I think we do that a lot. We complain about, but we rarely sit down and say, right, how can we come together? How can we find a platform where we do this? And I think if you do have maybe a Monday evening off, or just an evening time, sit together and just review without the whole, and it's this blaming, I think, that we do a lot of the times. We look at what the other person has not done instead of actually looking what did they do in place,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard though.
We wouldn't talk to colleagues the way we talk to our partners.
Yeah. Or friends.
And sometimes, actually, it's the most important partnership.
Yeah.
The only one we should really nurture. And I'm not talking, really disclaimer, I'm not talking about toxic situations.
Of course.
Or violent situations, of course. I'm talking about baby clash. When you look at the statistics in France, 25% of new parents separate within the first year of a baby's life.
Wow, that's high.
That's very high. 1 out of 4.
Wow.
And it's because they're not supported. It's because they're not prepared, because they don't communicate, because they have different expectations. Something very important to understand as well is love languages and apology languages. Not everyone has the same love language or apology language. In my case, before having babies, my love language number 1 was physical touch. I breastfed my first for 21 months. Let me tell you, physical touch was the last thing I needed.
I hear you. Yeah.
But then my husband was very low on physical touch before pregnancy. And then he felt like he never got me because I was always with the baby. So his love language became physical touch. And it was just
Well, probably
not
because he
working.
was getting it enough because it was yours before, so
Yeah.
there was never any need. But
Yes.
then when that disappeared and the dynamics switched,
Exactly.
I guess his went up because
Yep.
it was all of a sudden he wasn't having any more, you know? Wow, yes.
And my love language became words of affirmation.
Mm.
I'm not a good mom. I'm not a good mom. I needed someone to tell me, you're doing amazing.
Yes.
You're managing all these things, even though you're tired, even though we have nobody. The girls are so happy. They love you so much. I needed those words.
Mm.
So I think it's very important to understand what your partner's love language is so that you can learn to speak it. And apology languages are also very important.
Wow.
For me, telling me sorry is not enough. I need people to be accountable. I did this and I realized what it did to you, and that's not okay. And I realized it and I'm sorry. Accountability is my apology language.
Yes. So you actually, I get it though. Just saying sorry. I mean, like, you know, it's lovely, yeah, but what are you sorry for?
For some people, it's enough.
Yeah, well, yeah, not for me. Not for me either. I want to know, what are you actually sorry about? Yeah, I don't know. Did you actually get it? Yeah. No, I understand. But I think it's also for us as moms, we want to, especially with our partners, we want to understand that you have got what the issue at hand is. So you can ensure in future
That doesn't happen again.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even necessarily like, so what are you sorry? But it's an understanding, making sure, hey, do you actually know what you've done so we can make sure we avoid it going forward?
Yeah.
It's
so you feel
troubleshooting.
seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a troubleshooting in a way. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Having babies is not just a huge change on the mother. Of course, it's a change on the father as well. But I'm not a father. I can't speak on their behalf. They're amazing dad influencers out there who speak for fatherhood. But I know what it's like to be a mother. And I know what it's like to be so madly in love before having children. And then realize, am I even in love with you?
Yeah.
Because we've just become colleagues at home.
Yes.
So I know, and that's why I try to promote, and I know that asking for help or delegating, the way I like to say, delegating can also help partnerships avoid baby clash.
What I see in my friend group as well, a lot of the times, is almost like once the kids turned 18, or maybe older and their siblings just turned 18 and left the house, I saw that a lot of relationships were ending. And parents were going, you know, and which is like unheard of. It's like, come on, like, you know, you've got through the worst of it. But I think that's it. Once those kids are gone, and if the main purpose for you to stay together is not anymore because you love each other, but because you have kids that you need to basically set up for life, it needs to come hand in hand. I think you need to be working on the kids and the relationship with the kids, but also on the partnership, you know, so that can still maintain once the kids are old enough, you know, if you wanted to, you know, but it's true.
In most cases, I like to remind that love came first. So hold on, be patient. No separation the first year of baby's life. Be patient, it gets better.
Yeah.
Because you're able to put the baby down and have both hands free again. Again, not talking about toxic situations. We're also in a generation where we order something from Amazon and it gets to our doorstep the next day. We can't expect that to happen in our relationships. So we have to be patient. Babies aren't born knowing how to juggle this world and being independent. They rely solely on us. So we have to focus on what's important. We have to understand that we don't have to do every single thing we see our friends do or people online do. We have to focus on, okay, what is my standard? Am I okay with the laundry not being done every single day?
Yeah.
Can it happen in every 2 days? Is that okay? Is it okay for our family? Is it okay with my partner? If so, then it takes a little bit of pressure off our shoulders.
But I think it's also having the patience, and that's something I noticed. It's this, I know it's a term we throw out there, it's the cycle breaking. But I think every person comes from a different pattern and a different kind of, you know, family cycle. that we need to individually challenge with ourselves as well. And becoming a mom or a dad doesn't automatically mean that like you start from scratch. No, you're fighting a battle with kind of these different patterns that have been placed on you growing up. And sometimes it is an issue of patterns. And I think it's very hard to come out of patterns. And that requires time, and it requires patience and love and care.
Yeah.
Now, I think it is important to also call patterns out if you see patterns emerging with your partner. But I also think it requires support and love in order to help that person change said pattern.
Yeah.
And that's not something you can do for the other person. Absolutely. It's something that person needs to be able to want to do themselves. But it's also something to bear in mind, especially within the first year. This is new for everyone at hand. And I think you as a mom need to adjust to this new life. And I mean, I know I was like almost a psychopath when I had my first. It was like I wouldn't give him to anyone. It was like I would hold him, and even my husband, I was like, no, I don't think you know how to deal with the baby. you know, and it was like, it was really hard for him.
Yeah.
And I remember just this, you know, it took a while for me to then just kind of ease off and trust more and but I knew that was my problem, you know, and sometimes it's becoming aware as well, is that really an issue that the other person has, or could this maybe be something that I'm actually dealing with, you know, and just navigating that jungle, you know, and really hoping you get out the other side. If there's one thing you could change in postpartum wise in Germany, what would that be?
Well, that every expecting mother has a gynecologist, a midwife, and a postpartum doula.
And that should be the standard. And we should have enough people that are trained to provide that. I agree.
Yeah.
So important. So important. Where, if you're a mom struggling in Düsseldorf, you don't have family or you're lonely, where can you turn to?
So if the Mütterpflegerin or maternal care providers, if you have your midwife still, of course, you can turn to your midwife or your doctor if you think it's related to a physical condition or a medical condition. If you want to talk to somebody, you might be able to get in touch with doulas who can connect you to still cafes or Elternkind cafes that are mostly free, where you can just connect with moms. And I know in Grafenberg, there's even a place where you get group therapy sessions about motherhood. I think it's all in German for now.
Okay. Wow. But still, wow.
It's still there. It's there. So I think there are a lot of things. Unfortunately, not everything is centralized. There's no central information. So just ask around. Ask the mom friends that you have. Ask your doctors. Ask the hospitals. Ask the kid-related business in your neighborhood. If they know anything, you're not necessarily asking for help. You're just asking for information.
Yeah. You're just asking what's available. Where can I hang out? Where can I go? Who can I turn to? Yeah, and that's it's the village we all need, you know. It's getting the village. Where can listeners find everything that you do? Where can we find more about you, what you offer, and where can we turn to and connect with you?
heymama.de on Instagram. And for now, that's the only platform where I am. I have my website, but it's more about what I offer. It's very little about the community. The work that I do is mostly about if I'm hired as a birth or postpartum doula, what I can actually offer the families.
We're going to put that in the show notes as well.
Thank
so
you
everyone
so
can get a direct link.
Thank you.
I hope you're going to get bombarded. Well, no, I don't, because I know that's going to stress you out.
Well, like I said, I hope that, I love that my account grows and I can raise awareness to the topic, and hopefully really, let's manifest that in 20 years, every single mom in Germany would have a postpartum doula in the first year of postpartum and a midwife.
Wow.
Of course. Let's manifest it. And I will work on it. I really want to promote that idea that it will save the government money if they invest in taking care of new mothers, they might want to go back to work earlier if they feel mentally healthy, you know?
Yeah.
So it could benefit the system in the long run if they invest in their people from the beginning. So I want to keep my small community so I can really interact and feel like, you know, I'm there and I can talk to people and they feel like I'm a friend or a sister, but I also...
That's not going to happen. I'm sorry. That's going to grow.
Yeah, I think it's going to grow because it's just so relatable and people, the moms need to feel seen, to feel heard, and the system has to do something about it.
Yeah. What advice would you give a mom who's currently, doesn't matter where she is, isolated and lonely?
You might think you're a bad mom because you probably think you're not doing enough. Remember that for your baby, you're everything, and that's more than enough.
Yes. And I think we get lost in the whole glitz and glam and here and schnick schnack, and I think we forget what the actual main center of this should be, right?
It's not an expensive stroller or fancy car or a baby gymnastics class.
Yes.
Or the most expensive clothes, brand new clothes. Whatever the baby needs is just you.
Yes, you are so right. I love this. Do you listen to podcasts?
I do, but they're mostly French.
Oh, okay. Still give us the gist. Give us some. There might be French listeners here.
I listen to Bliss Stories and La Matrescence by Clémentine Salle.
What are they about?
Motherhood.
Yes.
Matrescence and child development as well. Yeah.
I think it's incredible that we have the opportunity nowadays to just listen into experts really share their opinions and give us the lowdown, you know.
And I recently also started listening to podcasts more and audiobooks because I just had no time to read. And I felt like when I sit, I'm just on my phone or watching TV or like rushing. So I could actually do something that's not important, but still take care a little bit of me because I have something playing in the background where I feel like, oh, it's, you know, I did something today. I learned something about specific topics. So,
you know what? That's what I really struggled with. That's what really, really affected me, I think, the most. I felt like at a point I was stagnant because I just didn't have the time to really sit down and take on new information and to then discover podcasts for me, you know, where I have an outlet where a lot of conversations are happening. So it's easy. You're not really focusing in on like the hard facts and the technical terms, but to have a light conversation between two people about certain topics that I'm interested in and walking away and then meeting people who don't have kids, for example, and then them saying, oh, like, how are you getting on? Oh, I heard this conversation, and have something to talk about that's not kid related, right? Because that's another fear I think you have. You go out in the world and it's like, so how are you? And you're like scanning, what can I talk about that's not actively related to my child, you know? And you're just struggling. But then to come and have something that I can also jump into conversation and it not be centered around the kids.
Yeah.
Really
I met a friend yesterday and I told her, I can only have a sandwich with you and walk around the park. I don't have time for more. And along the conversation, at some point, she asked me, what is your short-term goal? And I told her, I'm not sure. And she went, finishing that sandwich. And I was like, you know what? Yes.
Yeah, you know, and it's the little things, I think. And sometimes it's holding on to them and really just, you know, being in that moment and not worrying, not stressing.
Take it a day at a time.
Day at a time. And there is help. Yeah. There are people like you. And honestly, Catherine, thank you so much for what you're doing out there.
Thank you so much for having me.
At any time. I expect you to come back because I think what we've just done, these 2 hours and 11 minutes,
we could talk even more.
Barely scratched the surface of information and I think topics regarding kids and postpartum. And thank you honestly from the bottom of my heart for the work you do and
Thank you
helping
so much.
those ladies out there.
Thank you for helping me raise, spread the word
Oh,
about
you know
what's
what?
available.
I'm so passionate about this episode. Really.